All right, everybody in the stands, coming back to you. Loggins, Cash, I hate
What
to
up?
kind of break this to you, but we're kind of quickly learning that not everyone likes hearing us talk as much as they do like hearing the special guest and what they have to say. So we're listening to everybody, and unfortunately, and we've brought a good one on today. Coach Sean Pender here to my right. Welcome to the show.
Coach.
A little bit about you, Coach. Played at Valdosta State. Had a Hall of Fame career as a record-setting receiver there. Played under three big-time coaches, Coach Hal Mumme, Mike Leech, and Dana Holgerson. Started his coaching career in 2002 at Brantley County, up to now over 150 wins, very impressive. Coached Stetson Bennett at Pierce County. I know most of you know there. You're welcome, Coach Smart, for that one. Was at Brunswick prior to taking over at North Hall. Is a husband to Dana, has 4 children, 1 boy, 3 girls, and a soon-to-be grandfather of a boy, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, that's right. My son Dalton, he's him and his lady are pregnant, and we're gonna have a boy. So I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Congratulations. All right, well, speaking of all that, just, Coach, if you can give us a little background just of your journey in your coaching career and how it has led to North Hall.
Well, yeah, I mean, I started off as soon as I got done with my playing career. Started off as a graduate assistant at Valdosta State, and had a good year. And right away, they put me at the receivers coach as a graduate assistant, just because we didn't have very many, people on staff. But I loved it, loved doing what I was doing. And then I got married fresh out of college, and I decided I want to make a little bit of money, and as a graduate assistant, you weren't making too much. So I started going around, recruiting, different areas. And then one of our boosters was the superintendent at a school at Brantley County. And I didn't know much, about it, but they were going to offer me a nice paycheck. And I decided to leave college and go and be an offensive coordinator at Brantley County for 1 year. And we did pretty well, and I got a chance to go to Ware County. I was under Dan Regal at Ware County for 3 years as his offensive coordinator. Then Brantley offered me back as a head job, and I was only 27 years old at the time. And the coach before me went over, so he was 0 in his tenure there. And then coach before that only won 2 games. So I was like, shoot, I can go to this job and not mess it up. I can come in here, and if I lose, I'll be just like the average. So,
There you go.
but we were there. We were able to be successful, and we won. We had 4 winning seasons. It was the first time in school history that school's ever made it to the playoffs. And we didn't only make it to playoffs; we actually won a playoff game when I was there. And then I went to Cordele for 1 year. Just as a family, it just wasn't a good fit. And then Pierce County called me, and so I went back, and I was the head coach at Pierce for 6 years. Had a good run there, and Stetson was with me the whole time I was over there in Pierce. And then went over to Brunswick, had a good career there. And then my wife's family, they're from up North Georgia, and they were living up here. And my father-in-law got real sick. It was my wife Dana's stepdad, and wasn't doing well, wasn't going to make it. So we decided to look for jobs up in this area, and actually found North Hall, and now we're here. We love it here. It's fantastic, and it was a family move for us to get us here. But we're here now, and we want to stay here.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah, well, being from a North Hall graduate, we love you up here, and especially throwing the ball around like you guys are, and just excited what you've done and what you've yet to do. You got a lot of talk, a lot of hype going around the program right now, but that kind of leads back to what South Georgia. Up here in the north, we always hear about South Georgia football being the king, and it's just a different atmosphere. How is it different from North Georgia to South Georgia?
For me,
I know football's football, right?
Yeah,
But-
football's football,
Right.
and for me, my biggest adjustment, coming up here was really not really the school itself; it's the school system. I've been in smaller school systems like all my career. The biggest school system I was in only had 2 high schools in it, in the whole entire school system. Besides that, they're all single county schools.
Right.
So getting used to the bigger school system and having all the multiple schools where the balance has to be there between a lot of them. That was something to really get used to. But when you look at North Hall's community, the actual community itself, you go down that Mount Vernon Road, the middle school's right there on campus. It's right next to it. You got Mount Vernon Elementary School sitting right there. Walker Mountain's not too far away. So it's its own little community. So even though it's a part of a bigger school system, it still, has that small town small town,
Sure.
mentality to it. And I love that. That's kind of in my comfort zone. So I enjoy that aspect of it. And we're really a community driven school. Our community is tight, and, everyone's there really supports the athletic program, big time. And boy, our atmospheres are awesome. If you go to our games,
Sure.
it's a phenomenal game. That the Bluff game was phenomenal. That's a great little rivalry. So the difference here, I get to see the changing of the leaves. That's different. Down in South Georgia, you don't see that, and that's a big deal for me now.
No, for sure.
So that part. But football's football, and kids are kids, and our kids work really hard, and they worked hard in South Georgia, and they work hard here. So, and I think I'm blessed to be where I'm at.
No,
Awesome.
we're glad you're here. So stay here.
Well, speaking of South Georgia, one more question on that. Like we said, we know you coach Stetson Bennett. I'm sure as all the athletes you coach, it's great to see what they go on to do in life, whether it's on the field or off. And I'm as we all know, coaches have a big part of that. But I'm sure it's great to see them if they have a true passion for the game and to go off and do something big. So how's it been seeing the journey of what Stetson's doing, and do you stay in touch with him? How's that?
I do. I stay in touch more with his parents now that he's, a professional athlete. So kind of stay away from that. And throughout his stint at Georgia, I talked to him, here and there, at least, once, every blue moon, just talk to him, just reach out, see how he's doing, and got to go watch him play a few games. So that was good. But then, that's a kid that was, destined to be a Georgia Bulldog. I mean, and you look at his career, he always loved Georgia, and he always wanted to be a part of it, even when it looked like he wasn't going to be able to do it. And we were looking at all these other schools, and he had offers to go to a lot of FCS type schools and very few FBS schools. But he decided that he was going to walk on to Georgia because his dream was to play between the hedges. Even if he didn't get a snap,
Right.
He wanted to be on the team. He wanted to go out between the hedges. And once he got the opportunity to do that, but it didn't look like he was going to get on the field, we started talking, and I was talking to him about some junior colleges, and we decided on him going to Jones, and I was part of that decision. Then when he went there, not everyone knows this part of the story. After he did real well, and he looked like he was going to go to Louisiana Lafayette. That's where he was going to go after that was over, after his stint at the JUCO. And then I was on the phone, just found out, right, like a day before he was supposed to sign, just found out that Justin Harris, it was
Fields.
Fields, I'm sorry, Justin Fields was leaving. And so I was actually at Brunswick, and they were recruiting Warren McClendon at the time to go over there. So I was on the phone with Sam. I had a conversation with him. I was, are y'all even interested, like having Stetson back? And they were like, absolutely. And next thing you know, I had a conversation with Stetson about, hey, if Georgia calls you, are you interested in going back? He was absolutely. So he said things need to be different. He wanted a chance to actually get on the field.
Yeah, sure.
And then, Kirby sometime along the line gave him a call, and then he ended up going back to Georgia. And, well, y'all know the story from there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we were in Indy when we won
Yeah,
the Natty, so it was good times.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I'm gonna talk about a little bit back in college. The rumor is that your dad's the reason that the air raid offense is called the air raid offense. So, want to hear more about that, and then also want to know what it was like to play for Coach Mumme, Coach Leach, and Holgerson.
Oh, awesome. Back in 1993, I'm going to show my age a little bit. And I was a sophomore in college, and, I was getting to play quite a bit. But my parents would always come to the games. My dad went to every single game that we had at Valdosta State. But he would bring this siren in that he got off of a Navy ship of a job he was contracting on that was just trash or throwing it away. He had this thing pulled up on on top of a battery. Then you had the air raid siren, and he had these like jumper cables to it. But he'd bring it into the stadium, and he would play it. Well, the people in the stadium, every time we scored, he'd do that air raid siren. And the people in the stadium were complaining a little bit about it. So they told him he couldn't have artificial noisemakers in the stadium. So he gave it to the fraternity boys that had a place right there on a roof that overlooked the stadium. So they played it every time we ended up scoring. But back then they just called the air raid offense Mummy Ball. down when we were at Valdosta State. And then when Mike Leech and Hal Mummy went to Kentucky, they were looking for a name for the offense, and they decided to name it the Air Raid after my dad playing the Sirens. So
That's awesome.
that's how that came about.
That's great. So North Hall, speaking of North Hall, you're correct. The atmosphere there now, the culture you've built, it's just unbelievable. We've watched North Hall for a long time, and there are some special things going on there now for what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that. How do you keep the team culture in line and going for what you're trying to do there? And I know with football, you've got so many athletes on that roster in the field, and which means a lot of different personalities. But just tell us a little bit about how you get that culture, get them to buy in and that kind of thing.
Well, first you got to go back to the support. Whenever you have a community that is going to be involved and be able to support the program that you're having, and what you're doing, and they believe in you, it gives you that confidence to really build on things. And so when again you go back to that atmosphere is fantastic. But just some of the stuff we talk about, we talk about having a championship mindset. I think from day one, the very first time I walked in, anybody that was involved with North Hall football, the first words they heard come out of my mouth was championship mindset. We're going to have a championship mindset. Everything we do, we're going to try to do it the best we can, to the best of our ability. We're going to try to find ways to be successful. Everyone has ways that they can fall, and we're going to figure out ways to win. We're going to figure out how, when adversity hits us, how we're going to overcome that, and you're not going to tell us we can't do it. And I borrowed this little phrase from my wife. You can't say the word can't. You're currently having difficulty with. And just having that type of attitude. And we said, hey, look, this is a get-to. It's not a got-to type thing. It's what we have to do here. This is a get-to situation, and we're going to go, and we're going to have this opportunity to be successful. And instead of looking at the situation you're in, no matter how diverse it is, we're going to find a way to win it. That's what we talk about with a championship mindset. And then we just try to develop the culture. We do this thing at North Hall called Mayhem in the off season. Now, y'all heard of mat drills, right? And mat drills and we used to do that even when I was at Pierce and Brunswick, but was just with the football team. Well, at North Hall, I decided to incorporate everybody. You come to our mat drills at North Hall, and you come there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it's in March. They call it March Madness with it. But you go in March and April, you're going to see 160 students that out there, student athletes. You're going to see the football team. You're going to see the basketball team. You're going to see wrestlers. You're going to see the girls basketball team. You're going to see the volleyball team. You're going to see the softball team. You're going to see the competition cheerleaders now. Everyone gets involved, and it's not just my football coach running my mat drills. The swim coach is out there hitting the mat drills as well. The volleyball coach is doing a session. The softball coach is doing a section, and we just go through and we incorporate everybody. We sweat together, we bleed together, we cry together, we love together. We do everything together, and that really helps buy in with the community of or just the community of the school. And everyone's kind of tied in. Like today, we have a doubleheader JV and middle school game. We got a softball game going on, and we're telling our kids, hey, make sure you get there. And then we also incorporate the band with all this stuff. I mean,
have the band.
The band, they get after it. Sure. You go to our place, our band they're like that 12th man. They really get rolling, and they get into it and fired up. And they were even at our softball game the other day.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're there doing it up. So it's just that type of excitement. We also do a leadership thing. Again, we open it up to anybody that wants to come. It's in the mornings. I start that in January, and it goes through January and February, leading up into the Mayhem. And we just talk about ways that's character building and ways to develop leading from within our own program, so we can keep building and mentoring other leaders to come through. I think just that type of culture is what we're doing. And then we don't just say it, we do our best to live it, to go by it. And that authenticity is, however you say it.
That's good,
right?
Yeah.
It's real, and it comes from a place of passion. It comes from, the stuff that we really truly care about. And I think that's what it is. We all just buy in. We all drink the same Kool-Aid,
Nice.
and everyone's trying to do the best that they can to be as successful as they can.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's great.
Well, that's what my next question is. When you came up 4 years ago, North Hall was a wing T offense, and it was painful to watch. When it's on, but when it's off, it was very one dimensional, right? So how different was that getting the players that 4 years ago, as far as getting bought into your system? I know it with the different blocking schemes and stuff like that, and totally different as far as passing the football. And
Well, as far as a winning record, we went 3-7 that year. So I can tell you it was pretty difficult. But it wasn't difficult to get the kids to buy in, or the community. The community was ready for a change. They were wanting to do something a little bit different. So they believed in the vision, that I brought with what we were wanting to do, and that was a big part of it. Just no matter what the situation was, even though we were losing, we were still fighting,
competing.
We were in games. Even though we went 3-7, the teams that we did beat that year were all Hull County schools.
Okay.
So
Just get that out there.
Yes.
we still beat the Hull County schools, but no, we struggled a little bit with that, but the buy-in was already there. It was in place, and we knew that we were going to struggle a little bit in the beginning. Going the shotgun snap. The first game, I think we snapped it over our quarterback's head like 7 or 8 times. Wow. But after that, we figured it out, and we started getting better. And you can see that our team was getting better and better and better, even though the scoreboard might not have shown it as much. But overall, it was a little bit of a struggle, but we went to work in the off season. We got better. We kept working. We did a lot of 4-on-1 situations. We did a lot of meeting times, and we taught our guys how to watch film, and then we taught them how to lift a different way at a different pace, and just really changing the culture and the mindset of what they were before. We try to have a lot more kids play. Back then, with what they were doing, you might have had 45, maybe 50 kids on the team, but only 20-something of them were actually getting playing time. If there was that many, sometimes it was even less. Well, now we're playing that many on one side of the ball. You go and you watch us play on offense, and you see how many guys that are coming in. You're going to see around 19 to 20 kids playing on one side of the ball, and the other side of the ball, we'll rotate as many. Like you'll see us go 4 D linemen in, and then we'll bring another 4 D linemen in, trying to get more people incorporated and more people buying in. And kids will always rise to it if you put kids out there and you prepare them and you give them an opportunity and you believe in them and they know that you believe in them, they're going to rise to that, to what your expectations are of them. And I've seen that happen more times than not. So we have that belief, and we're going to keep doing that. And we're going to keep giving kids these opportunities, and I think that's going to help us build our program. And you're going to get more people playing. You're going to see more people involved, and you can turn we're a 3A school, but I don't know how many other 3A schools play as many kids as we do.
Nice. Well, that kind of leads me into my question. Obviously, more kids playing. I'm assuming you're going to have more multi-sport athletes playing. So, what's the communication like between you and the basketball coach? I'm assuming the baseball coach, to allow them to play more, to have more kids come out there.
Well, that's what I want to do. And this is sincerely, if you are a coach in high school and you are only telling your kid to play one sport, shame on you, and you get out of the sport. Because you are not there for the kids.
Exactly.
We are in high school.
Yeah.
All right. And in high school, these kids need to play as many sports as they possibly can. I lettered in 5 sports as a senior in high school. I played football, and then my parents, because my dad was really good friends with the track coach, who was also the cross country coach, made me get up. Now I was in Florida, and in Florida, our district meets and stuff that we had like that were on Saturdays. Oh. So after Friday night games, I got up and I ran cross country on Saturdays. So I ended up lettering in 2 sports, and then I played soccer. Soccer was in the winter there, and then I wasn't very good at baseball when I lived in South Florida, but when I moved up to North Florida, I guess I was pretty decent for there, but I was also a track runner. So I ran track, but then my senior year, I decided to play baseball, and they still let me run the track meet. So I was able to letter in 5 sports.
That's awesome.
But my point of being is kids are kids,
Right.
and this is one of the other opportunity they're going to have to be able to play multiple sports, as many as they possibly can. So if you're a football player and you play baseball and basketball, so be it. You can do all of that and still be successful. I really believe that. These kids that say they need downtime, no, you don't. Your downtime, get less screen time.
Yeah.
All right, have less time with that. Go ahead and get your sleep at night and get your nutrition that you need to get your body right. But go out and you play the sports that you want to play. If you want to be good at basketball, why it's football season, who says you can't go into the gym and shoot and get all your free throws in and maybe do a few layups, listen to the coach talk a little bit about the fundamentals. And as soon as football season's in, you can jump straight into basketball. And who says that you can't go do some long tossing while you're sitting in your football pads? All right. Who says you can't get into a cage and hit? Now, I don't want one of my football players playing in a Saturday game for baseball and stretching a single into a double, or something like that. But these are kids, and you know what? I'm not going to tell a kid not to get in a car and go somewhere and drive somewhere because they might get in a car accident. If you're worried about getting in an accident and you're going to live your life worried that you're going to get hurt or something, what kind of life is that? Go out and live your life. Do what you want to do, especially when you're young. Experience all what you can experience. Stay within the rules. Don't break the law.
Right.
But have that type of energy and have that type of build those memories and the locker rooms at high school. Whether it's the football locker room, the basketball locker room, baseball, whatever it is that you're doing, there's where the real memories are made in the practice field. So why have that for just one little group? Why not do it for the entire community or all the sports programs?
Other coaches should listen to that.
That
I
might
mean,
be
yeah,
the
that-
most well said.
100%
on that subject.
that-
We've talked a lot about that subject.
Yeah.
So
So
we definitely appreciate that. Coach, the three of us have seen you play multiple games this year. We've talked a lot about your team because of what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. It looks just complete. You've got a great offensive line. They're tough running backs. I believe said it on one of these podcasts. I truly believe this. I've seen every school in Hall County just about this year play, and I truly believe you have probably the best trio between Alex Schleeman, Ty and Cole, and then you throw a Smith McGarvey in that offense with what you're doing with him now, and it's just dangerous. On the defensive side of the ball, I know you've got some tough kids that'll hit you. I know they've probably given up, a few more big plays than you've wanted them to this year, but they look good too. So my question is this team as good as they look? Do you have big expectations from here on out? And compared to teams you've coached in the past, how do they rank?
Of course I do. I believe this is, and I'll probably say this every year, this is the best team I've ever had. No, just in general, because I do believe in our kids. Our kids believe in themselves, and our kids believe that they can win. And that when kids believe in themselves, and anything's possible.
Sure.
We have a mannequin in our field house, and after we lost the game in the third round of the playoffs last year, the very next day we put the mannequin up. Then we put a 15 on his chest. Our goal was to play 15 games. That's our goal, and it's lofty, and I understand that. But our goal was to play 15 games, and I'm going to throw that out there because you throw it out in the universe. First of all, you got to believe it yourself. Right. You got to believe it for it to work. If you don't believe in it, you can hope. No, we're not hoping. We're expecting. And if we fall short of that expectation and we only play 14 games, so be it. But that's our attitude. We got 15. We got a 15 on that jersey, and we changed it now to the number of players we have, on that jersey, because now we're all one unit, and we're all going to go out and we're going to use all of our players to be a part of our success and what we're trying to do. But yeah, I do believe this team is as good as of what it looks. I think that we're going to have challenges. We're going to have adversity that's going to hit us. And how we respond to that adversity, we'll find out. Defense has given up some points, but that's because of one game. If you go back and you look, and first of all, in the region play, what White County had a couple trash touchdowns at the end of the game.
Yeah.
All right, and then the game with Bluff, and that's a good team. Bluff's a good football team, but we turned the ball over really late, and they get a late touchdown. Yeah. Right there. But if you look within our region, play, or even Westland. Westland only got 7 points. And then we shut out Pickens, who's a very good team.
Undefeated.
Our defense is a lot better than people think.
Yeah.
That East Hall game, it was different. And the matchup, too. I mean, you can't take anything away from that offense that they have and that quarterback they have. But then one thing, because even his junior year, East Hall's quarterback gave us a fit with the things that he can do.
He's great.
But he wore down. He got tired. Well, that was the perfect storm for them. He came out. They had a good team. They were winning at the time, and when East Hall's up and they're doing well, they're dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we hit them at that moment, and they had some confidence. And even though we were hitting big plays, they were hitting big plays. And then you had a nice lightning delay, right? Well, that quarterback got to rest.
Yep.
He didn't get wore down.
Yeah.
Then he got to play a few more minutes, and he had another hour and a half lightning delay. All right. And if you look how much they ran him, how much they used him, and that's a good team. I mean, they're going to falter. They're going to have some things that they're going to struggle with, but the matchup was tough for us in that situation, and we learned some things about ourselves defensively. And if you look the way we've been playing since then, we've been playing a lot better football.
Yeah.
I guess, is that the longest game you've ever been associated
Yes.
with? I can't believe.
Yeah.
2 a.m.
2
I've
a.m.
never had a game start at 7:30 and end at 2 a.m.
Man, that's rough. I'm going to spitball a question. Mike Leech.
Yes.
I saw like he was in the Pirates one. Kind of a quirky guy. What was it like? Like, you got any funny stories or any that you can tell that? Because he was a good dude and.
Oh, he was phenomenal. That's a whole nother podcast. We could sit and we can talk about Mike Leach and Mike Leach stories for hours. We used to go into we'd get there early. We would actually get to practice earlier or something just to go into his office and just sit there and talk about whatever. Back then it was Geronimo. He talked more about Geronimo than he did the Pirates. He would still talk about Pirates, but it was Geronimo. He was on that kick, and he was just talking about different things. And then he nicknamed me in one of these meetings. I'm a little embarrassed to say it. I'll say it, though. He nicknamed me the Chicken Hawk. Used to make me so mad when he called me that. But it was he would always get us in the room, and he was always big with the linemen too. So the linemen would be there, but the skilled guys would all just go in there and mess around and talk about whatever that we could talk about in Valdosta State. And by the way, he was the same as an offensive coordinator at Valdosta State as he was when he became big time and was the head coach at Texas Tech and Mississippi State and Washington State. He never changed.
Okay.
He never changed. He was always the same type of person, and he was such a personable guy. But anyway, going into his office and having the conversations, he would always ask, "All right, if we put you and Jeremy Lundy in a bag together." Jeremy Lundy was our center, and here I am, a 165-pound guy, receiver. Who's if we put you on a bag and shook it up and get you all mad and you ought to fight, who's the one coming out? I'm coming out. I'm whipping his butt. So I always had that type of attitude. So he started messing around with me and called me a chicken hawk. The guys roll out, I'm no chicken. What are you talking about, chicken hawk? He goes, no, the guy always thought he could beat up everybody even though he's little. So he gave me that little nickname, and it kind of stuck for a little bit, but it was fun. It was just being around Mike and the type of guy he was. Yeah. One of my other assistant coaches, Keith Goss, he was with me. Now he's over in Rayburn. When he was with me back when I was at Brantley, we went out and we were at a coaches convention, and it happened to be in New Orleans. And it was the last time I was in New Orleans, thanks to a guy named Coach Price over in Alabama. But we were there, and he was at Texas Tech at the time, and I introduced Keith to Mike, and he just met him though, and then he took him under his wing and kept him with him the entire night, and that's the type of guy he was. One time we were out in Nashville, out again in the AFCA, and some guys bought him a drink, and when they bought him a drink, he walked down to who they were and sat there and talked to them for 2.5 hours. Oh, wow. And not even knowing, that's just what you see on TV, that is authentic. That is who he was. That wasn't for show. Mm-hmm. He would talk to you about anything but football. Now, don't get me wrong. When I talked about football, he loved it and doing that. But that man was so versatile, and the way he viewed life was so refreshing. And he taught you how to think outside the box. And man, did he make things simple. this when you were talking to him, he made something that would seem like such a complex situation, something that you would stress over. Where he would break it down to you as, man, it's not that bad, and then he would say some story or some line. I'm telling you, if you had a chance to meet that man, and the more you can research and see and get those clips, everyone loved him, and there's a reason why everyone loved him.
That's cool.
I'm going to ask you a question here, Coach. I'm about to put you on the spot. I can tell you work out, so please don't reach across the table and hit me. You're probably learning, if you've not already learned, the rivalry with North Hall and Gainesville. It used to be a lot bigger because they really don't play much anymore. But I'm sure you hear it, and we continue to hear it. And because of what you are doing and what you have done at North Hall, we're hearing the question a lot more. So our question to you is, next year, would you be willing to play them?
Well, it just depends on if we can do the same things they do. I mean, honestly, if you sit there and you're saying that, can we do the same things they do? Mm-hmm. And that's not where it's, you can't compare apples to apples.
Right.
Sure. If it was, just the situation, you look at their roster, how many people were on that roster from the 9th grade on?
Oh, yeah.
And you look at ours, see how many are on the 9th grade on. You can't compare that aspect. This is different. Now, can't blame them. They have a phenomenal program over there, and the things they're doing, there's going to be people who are going to want to move into that program, and they're going to want to do the same thing. But it's a lot harder to get someone into North Hall than it is Gainesville. I promise you that. and that situation. But now I would like to do things with them in their program because I think they got an awesome coaching staff. I think they got an awesome program. I would love to do things with them in the summertime because it would get our kids prepared to play. When you look at it, you look at their roster, and as good as my offensive line is this year, right? And they're all seniors. They have a lot of talent. Yeah. You look at the defensive line that Gainesville has, and what they have and what, compared to, it's not the same kids. How many Division I athletes do they have?
A lot. Well, between the Carrollton game, there's 33 on the field.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. How many do we have? Let's be real. One.
Going to Charlotte.
There's one. There's one there right now. Now I got a couple that might go the following year that have the capability of it. But when you have that type of situation, and you're going at it, it's a little different. But I love the competition. I love what their program's about. I would love to compete against that, but I would like to have a little bit level playing field to make sure that was make sure that could happen.
Well, it's a great point. We all watched the games with Carrollton game, and we came back, and the first thing we all said was defensive line. The lineman's just different than what you see most of the time. I will tell you this, in what you're saying is 100% correct as far as even playing field and all that. I will give you props here, and a few people may start squirming when they listen. I'm not giving up names, never will. But from the Gainesville side and the Gainesville community, I've heard more than one parent say that North Hall scares us. And seriously, what they're doing right now and watching them, he said, Andy, we don't know if we could beat them right now. And that's in all honesty, and I've heard it from more than one. So that's props to you for what you're doing over there. And in speaking of that, I've also heard from multiple people, and this is just a thank you from the entire community. When we look at all the programs, high schools combined, when we talk about culture and just what you want these student athletes to learn and how they need to respect others and be respected, I've also heard what kind of man you are and what you've brought to that program and to North Hall. I've heard it from multiple coaches. Sam Borg and I have talked just what type of person you are, which is a great man and truly believe in the right things and are teaching that on that football field. And so from the county, we all thank you for that.
Yep.
That really, truly does help us as a county as a whole, and we want that for all the county. So.
Yep.
No, 100. Our vision, we're teachers, right? Number one, we're teachers, and we're here for these kids, and yes, we want to put a great product on the field and let them be really good at X's and O's. But the bottom line, we're here to build, better husbands, future husbands for their wives. building better fathers, for their kids and better community members. And, if they come out of our program, I want them to be able to come to a place like Siphons Logistics, and I want them to be proud of who they have that are coming here, that they're, if they come out of our program, that they have these type of life skills and soft skills and, are dependable and honorable young men.
Well, I think I should just run through this wall, listen to him talk. He's
absolutely
very passionate, and glad he's at my school. Yeah, so it's good to have another Trojan in there.
I'm looking forward to many more years, the Bluff and North Hall rivalry.
Oh yeah, that's going to be great.
Oh, Tommy Jones is a great guy.
Oh, I love Coach
Oh
Jones.
yeah, he is, and it's going to be that's going to be a great rivalry and going back and forth because again, the Bluff's another good program, and it's really fun having our schools get together and play. Even though we're not in the same region anymore, I think that might change. I think we'll probably end up back in the same region eventually. But even if we're not, we already agreed. We're not. We're always going to play each other.
I like that.
So and just have it because it is two really good programs, and I do think a lot of Tommy's program. I think a lot of our program, and I think it should be one. And that one's apples to apples.
That's true.
Yeah, when it comes to that. So because we're both under the same umbrella.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, we'll close with this. Speaking of future husbands, I do have to say this. Dana needs to hear this. Dana, so if you're watching this, when I asked Coach Pender, to get to know him a little bit about him so I could do the introduction, he texted me that he is husband to Dana and not Dana's my wife. And that's a smart man right there. So, Dana, you've done well. We talked one day we need to have coaches' wives on an episode because talk about hearing some stuff and really being the backbone to coach's success, I believe. Which is great. So
that would be a great episode.
It really would. I think we're going to get to work on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Coach, again, thank you. Love what you're doing over there. Good luck to you the rest of the season.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and I really appreciate it. This is fun. I would like to come back and do it again
Anytime.
sometime.
Oh, absolutely. We will.
So that'd be awesome. Hey, go Trojans.
That's it.
If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube, In the Stands Podcast.